Well, welcome everyone. I'm Steve Savant. We're broadcasting live from the heart of Phoenix, Arizona on KXXT Family Values Radio. I also want to welcome our online audience on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And I want to give a big shout out to the Sisterettes over at Beyond Fear to Freedom, one of the best Christ-centered fellowships that provide a safe and loving community for the women in recovery. Just check out their website at beyondfeartofreedom.org. And don't forget, if you want to email me, it's steve@180uturn.com. That's steve at 180youturn.com. Happy to take your questions, calls, keep the theology out of it. I'm just don't have the heart for it anymore. Today on 180, we're continuing our saga with Blake Dallavira. Blake, what a story. And we finally get to what I call Holy Thursday, right?
Yeah.
You know, where we can talk about how this happened. How did you get saved, you know?
Right.
I just want to say, and remember, everything we talked about, this is why it's so, in my view, it's a meat grinder. It's a gauntlet to go through that 90% of everything we talked about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And if you haven't seen the show, you need to go back out, watch it in order. This all happened right before you were 21. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, you've lived, just that alone, you've lived a complete life already, mm-hmm. right? By the time, your story is a life in itself up to 20 years of age. And I can only say that thank God when you do get find your faith in the Lord, that you have all those years in front of you. Isn't that great to know? Just like, hey, wow.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you finally, I love how people come to the end of their rope.
Yes.
You become so fed up and sick of your lifestyle that you're actually willing to do something about it. What did you do?
Well, like I said, I had done now I see it was my last shot of heroin, but I did my last shot of heroin and I got scared. I was like, oh, that did not feel right. Something's going, I don't know if I'm going to get an abscess or what. And I remember praying. I wrote out the prayer and I said, Lord, which I've never even said the word Lord. Mm-hmm. I was like, Lord, take over my life. I need you to, I got to surrender. I can't do this anymore. You need to take over my life.
And you have no God understanding at all.
And I didn't know anything about Jesus or Lord. I didn't know what these terminologies were, but I was saying them and I just knew that I was talking to someone. Mm-hmm. And so luckily nothing happened. The next morning I called my mom. Or that night I called my mom and I said, I'm ready to do something different. I want to get help. And she's like, if you don't do it this time, like, we're done with you, Because I had so many times mm-hmm. just told her I was going to do it with so many empty promises. And so the next morning she said, okay, I'll meet you at Circle K at 10 o'clock. So 10 o'clock came, we're all getting high, and I just stood up and I said, all right, I'll see you guys later. They're like, where are you going? I'm going to get clean. They're like, why? Why are you going to get clean? Why would you do that? And I'm like, I'm done. So I walked to the Circle K and my parents pick me up. They take me to the community bridges and I go to Detox, and I remember talking with a peer support and I was like, wow, I want to be you. Like, that mm-hmm. is what I want to do. I want to help people. She's like, well, come back in a year, 6 months, and we'll see it, you probably can. Mm-hmm. So I finished Detox and then
How hard was that?
The Detox?
Yeah.
Well, luckily for me, I got in pretty quickly, so I didn't really have to go through a lot of pain yet, so it wasn't too difficult. So it actually was pretty a breeze for me, surprisingly.
So it was surprisingly good.
Yeah.
Maybe the Lord was taking you up on your prayer.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so breezy, and I didn't have any pain, really. And I go to Detox, so then I meet with the counselor who's supposed to help you find where to go. And I was going to go to the Salvation Army, but they didn't have any beds, and so I went home for a couple days, and so now I'm thinking, well, Mom, maybe I just need to go to school. Maybe I just need to get my mind busy. And so we go to tour like a cosmetology mm-hmm.
school.
And this is the second encounter I had. So we're looking around, and this is, I'm a very young girl who doesn't stick to commitments. I don't have a lot of train of thought that's like mm-hmm. useful, at this point. And so we walk around the school, and then I sit in the car, and all of a sudden I just get this overwhelming feeling and this thought in my head that's like, you're not ready for this. And I'm like, well, I know that's not my thought because I don't know what the heck I want. And mm-hmm. I just said, Mom, I'm not ready for this. I need to get help. And so that same day, like an hour after we got home, I got a phone call from the Changing Lives Center. And they said, we're a new program and we have plenty of beds. Come on in for an interview.
Now, is that connected with Phoenix Rescue?
Yes, that's Phoenix
okay.
Rescue Mission. Yeah, Changing Lives Center, Phoenix Rescue Mission. And so I go there, and and I go to tour the place, and this is how I know that something is working in me, because I was excited to go to this program. I was like almost like I felt like college. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, because it was beautiful campus. It was just absolutely amazing. They had this beautiful chapel in the middle, and it was just like, I just knew I was where I needed to be. I don't know how to explain it, but I just knew I was where I needed to be. So the next day I go in to do the intake, and my dad, so usually my mom is the one who always does everything, but for some reason she had to work. And so my dad took me, and this was a kind of nice moment for my dad and I, and he grabbed my face and he said, I started crying. I'm like, I don't think I can do this. And he's like, I got you. Like, you can do this. You're gonna make it. And so I go in, and the main woman, the director, she was like, honey, you just have to give your life, you just have to give it to Jesus. And I thought, well, I don't know what that means, but I'm not sure what this is about, but okay. And so the next couple days, during class and everything, they would pray before class, and I would just get these chills all over my body. And
when they prayed,
and I was like, am I still high? Like, what is going on? I've never experienced this before. And then they would do Bible study, and there was this gentleman that was teaching. His name was Jerry, and he looked at me, and I was just asking all these questions because I was so hungry. I just wanted to know what this Bible was about. And he's like, young lady, I think you're going to get saved in a couple days. And I was like, okay, don't know what that means, but okay.
Because you have no God reference point whatsoever.
No
Jesus,
idea.
saved, all these terminologies,
Nothing,
right?
no idea, no idea whatsoever. So then the next day was chapel. And these people came in. It was a woman and a man who they volunteer for the Phoenix Rescue Mission. And they said, does anyone want to get saved? And I said, I want to get saved. And
Did you know what you're talking about?
I just knew that they said, does anyone want to accept Jesus and be saved? And I thought, yeah, I want that. And so I said the repentance prayer. I told the Lord, come into my life. And after that, it was like night and day. It was like I was instantly transformed. Just
on that prayer?
Yeah, I just knew that God was real.
It was lightning.
It was like, bam, he just met me. And he said, I am he. I am real. I am here for you. Just follow me. And for when I went there, it was a year-long program, and I told my parents, no way in hell am I doing a whole year. I'm going for 2 months, that's it. But after I had this encounter, I knew that God wanted me to finish the program. I just knew it. And I knew he was going to bless me. I knew spiritually he was going to bless me. So I go there, and I'm just overwhelmed with all these amazing, peaceful feelings that I've never felt before. And I fell in love with God. I just completely, that moment, fell in love with God.
Okay, and again, I just want to underscore for our listeners, I love it when we, like myself, I was brought Catholic, but basically pagan. I had no idea but God. The guy told me, because I told this guy what happened to me, and he goes, oh, you got saved. I had no idea what he was talking about.
Right.
And he said, so you got delivered. I have no idea what you're talking about. All the Protestant nomenclature didn't help. But when you find God and you have a day and night experience, a shock and awe experience, right? Like one day you're this way, and next day you are a completely different person. Yeah. And this played out over the months over in Detox. You basically started to change.
Yeah. Right
there on the spot. What was the first thing that you noticed that you would say, hey, that was a change?
Well, I had a really bad mouth. And
you were profane.
Yes, extremely. And I was saying the F word every sentence. And we were in the cafeteria, and I said it, and I was like, oh, like I was like, I'm so sorry. Like I told everyone, and they're like, wow. But I just instantly felt conviction from it. I was like, oh my gosh, I should not speak that way, right? Which was not like me. I did not care about that at all. And so little thing after little thing started happening, and my desires started to change. I didn't want the things I used to want. And, it says that God will give us a new heart. He will take out the heart of stone and give us a heart of flesh. And that is exactly what he did for me.
Let's just stop there for a second. Listen, this is for real. Listen, God is willing to exchange your heart, your stony heart that's like a rock that's been seared. Nothing can get in there. And and by the way, this is my thought, there's no real reason to rehab the old thing. There's nothing really worth saving or salvaging from it. You might as well just get the new heart.
Exactly.
I love that idea of being able to, not only if you're going to have the born-again experience, if you're going to have a second chance with God, I say go all the way in with him, go all in, get the new mind, And get the new heart. Don't try to take anything from the past into it to get it rehabbed. Ain't gonna work.
Right. Well, there's a reason why he says you need to be born again. Because we have all these desires that are not of God. And when we get born again and when we are born of the Spirit, we start to desire things of the Spirit. And that's what started happening to me.
The one thing I liked part about your story is, you've come to the Lord and guys are not on your radar.
Well...
Is it?
Well, so the boyfriend from prison, I was actually still writing him. And
did you tell him you came to the Lord?
I did, and
I would take that?
He didn't understand it. He didn't. I mean, I would write him scriptures, and I would say, I don't want to talk this way anymore. And and he didn't like it. He didn't know what was happening to me. And I thought that this was the man that God had for me. So I was trying to save him in a sense,
sure.
And God had other plans. He definitely had other plans.
I love when change is in afoot and the people that know you best can see it so clearly, and it will spark people's attention and get their curiosity. Man, I knew this gal before. Now look what she is today. When we come back, we're going to finish up to this segment about finding God and getting clean and understanding what it's like to be saved. Yeah. We'll be right back. Van Halen.
Good. I want to talk about the codependency still, because it didn't leave me after I got saved.
Can we do it right then? Right away?
Whatever you want.
Let's do it right away. With this guy, you mean?
Huh?
With the codependency with this guy. Hey, well, welcome back. Steve Savant here on 180, and we're talking to Blake, unpacking her story, and thank goodness in the Lord we're on Holy Thursday.
Yes.
Oh, man, I love Conversion Day. Fourth day of the week is always my happy time. One of the things that the Lord changes, you said he was changing your appetites, your mindset, your heartfelt feelings, but you're still writing your ex who's in prison who isn't buying any of this.
No.
Right? And struggling with understanding.
Yeah.
So this is the first shot at God saying, I'm going to break your codependence on this.
Yeah, and I think a lot of women might relate to this, but when you get saved, you still put a man on the pedestal, and you still think that they're going to save you, or they're going to be the thing that fits in that hole that only God's supposed to fill. So I continue to write him, and I keep holding on to this man that is clearly not the one. He's in prison. He's using in prison. He's not doing well, and I had a really hard time letting him go. But it was like, and he wasn't the first prison guy I dated in my new renewed mind. I went from him to another guy in prison, and then he got out of prison. We lived together. We were, I told myself I wanted to stay no sex until marriage, and it didn't work out because I didn't have the boundaries. I didn't have, I had the knowledge of the Lord, and I knew I loved God, but I didn't know how to implement that into my life. And so I started to once again replace men in my life, and it just became this spiral. And so when I finally said, okay, Lord, the second relationship with the man in prison ended because he was not very nice. And I said, Lord, I'm just going to be praying for a husband that you want me to have, and just make it known to me. Show me who you want. And he did. He made that very clear.
Was that a surprise to you, or you expected it?
Well, I had been praying for a husband for a long time, and I thought I was praying for the husband in prison, right? I thought he was supposed to be my husband, and I was going to save him. But actually, I had been praying all these prayers for my future husband that God had actually had me praying for him. So I was praying for him, and he came to me through the mail.
Through the mail.
Through the mail.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about that tomorrow because we're going to talk about all the things that are happening with you, your husband,
Yes.
what he's doing, what you're doing, and babies. Oh,
Yes.
my gosh. When we're talking about, we think we have God's idea of a spouse. We have, and it's usually so off the table wrong, and we don't understand that he understands how to pick this, right? And I remember just even in the watching my girls come through the door with Mr. Wonderfuls, which they weren't, and trying to talk them out of it, and not trying to put a damper on their. They felt affection. I didn't want to dampen that, but at the same time, this guy's a loser, So you just want to kind of see if you can move him on. And sometimes I just look at. One of the big things that we were on with a gal a couple months back with that I think, and her thing she said that she heard most of what I said in prison was she said, "How do you know you got a godly guy?" And I said, "It all is based on their hands. If they keep their hands to themselves, you may have a winner."
Yes.
I didn't say you do. I just said you may. That's the first start. Now you know you got something to work at. But you've got a renewed mind. And here's one thing that people talk about you from other sisters in the Lord that say you got into the Bible big time.
Yes.
How did that happen? Because usually it takes a little while to figure that out.
Well, I have to say that the first couple years of being a Christian, I didn't really know. I kind of would just read all over the place. I didn't really have any direction. And actually, it was my husband that really taught me the Word of God, and I fell in love with it. Because as you really start to read the Word, which a lot of Christians and a lot of people, they want to insult the Bible, but they really don't know anything about it. They don't read it. They don't take the time to understand the history behind it and the archaeological evidence, and they don't do their research. And so when you start to see that God has showed up time and time again through the Word with prophecy, fulfillment, and all these things, you start to wonder, wow, or you start to see that He is the God of everything, that He is real, He is alive, He is moving, and He is changing people left and right. And so when I started to read the Word, it was like it kind of answered all the questions I ever had about myself, about life, about the universe, where we came from, what we're doing, what our purpose is. I mean, it's like so many people don't know what their purpose is or what they're supposed to do, and it's like the Bible tells you everything you need to know if you just read it and if you believe it,
So you came to that place where, and I like people like you are all in. It's Jesus or bust, you know. And I like that. It's kind of like going to Vegas and putting everything you own on the table and saying, "I'm rolling the dice. I'm all in with the Lord."
Except this time you actually win.
You win. Oh, I love that part. I love that part. I love the aspect of people who are conscious of being transferred from the roll call of the damned to the Lamb's Book of Life.
Yeah.
You're conscious of it. I sat in listening to a testimony that is going to be on here coming up pretty soon. And his first thought was, when he's in prison, only mentioned that the thief on the cross was a criminal.
Yeah.
He was a felon.
Right.
And he was the first person that got the invitation from the Lord to join him in paradise. And when I said that in the meeting, he said, "I want to be that person." That was, you never know what verse is going to break somebody open. Yeah. He didn't care about the Lord. That was his verse. To think about the idea of being transferred, because we were all in a major league wreck. You, myself, people if you had through the show. We have lived bad, hard lives. Some of it our fault, some of it not our fault. It's a lot of things going on. But when He brings us into what He wants us to do, we start changing. Now, when you started changing, things really changed. You talk only one aspect. You said, "Hey, I'm not dropping the F-bomb anymore." How about that?
Yeah. I desired to be clean spiritually, mentally, emotionally. I wanted to save myself for marriage, but I was new, I was weak, I didn't have enough knowledge and enough dedication to the Lord yet. And so all these things started changing in my heart, and I didn't want to, I didn't want to wear certain things that I used to wear. I didn't want to talk.
Did you come to that determination, or did somebody tell you, "Hey, you need to dress modest, girl"?
I mean, I didn't want to wear like super short shorts. I struggled with the lower shirts for a long time, but that's fine. The Lord has finally worked on me with that. But as a woman, it's hard because, especially in Phoenix, it's so hot, and but as I started to grow, I just realized I wanted purity. I wanted to be a holy person. I wanted to represent Christ well. And that would have never been a desire of mine before. It's funny because when I used to think of like Christians, I thought of like the super loony, like Bible thumpers. And now it's like, I basically am one of those, and I'm proud of it. I love it because I've seen, God has revealed himself to me so clearly that there's no turning back. I have decided to follow Jesus, and there's nothing that is going to stop me.
How long have you been clean? No drugs at all?
8 years.
8 years. What's that feel like?
It feels amazing. But what feels more amazing is, it's almost like I've been so removed from that life that the most amazing part is just seeing that God is continuously changing me and shaping me into this woman that I'm proud to be. I never would have thought that I would have been able to say that before. I have hard work, I have dedication, I have, I'm honorable, and I'm honest, and all these things that I never thought that I would characterize myself as, and now I am that because of only God's grace.
You are now a woman of honor.
Yes.
A woman of virtue.
Yes.
A woman of major value to God.
Yes.
And you know it and you feel it now.
Yes.
See, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. My encouragement always, especially for us who live in Famished, yes, it's hot in here, but most of the godly women in the Bible were in the Middle East.
Yeah, right.
So, and
head coverings.
Pretty much, I wouldn't worry about trying to argue with the Lord on that.
Right.
But you want to come to a place where, my stuff's for my spouse, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's what, we always, I love the change. Sometimes it's the mouth first, the language goes. Sometimes we start to dress more conservatively because we know it's not honoring to the Lord or honoring our spouse. And then all of a sudden we start reading things. We don't read or watch those things because they don't give any real value to it. Most of the stuff I remember early on in jail and prison was people, I said, did you ever listen to the songs that you guys are listening to? These are so degrading to women. Do you guys understand that this is the total prescription of the world to infiltrate your head that everything that these guys are rapping about is okay for you to have?
Yep.
See, this is the conditioning, right, that we all go through. But once we come to the Lord, what is worship like when you connect with God on a Friday night or wherever else you fellowship?
Yeah, it's amazing, and I stopped listening to secular music early on. I mean, because my mood changes. It's so clear to me when I even if it's not that bad of a song and the lyrics are decent, because I like music, but my mood changes. And if I keep Christian music on and I keep my life filled with positive things, my mood is better, and I'm not as angry, because I still struggle with anger. But my mood is better. I'm able to ask for forgiveness. My heart feels more open and loving and kind than it does when I fill my life with things that are unholy,
I recall taking my wife to our 25th anniversary back in the day to go see the Billy Joel Elton John duo concert. I blew serious money. We got 5 rows from the front. I thought it was great. In the middle of the concert, the roadie for Billy Joel goes ahead and gets up on the mic and sings Highway to Hell by AC/DC. I see 16, 17,000 people stand up, and they're all singing the chorus line, Highway to Hell. And for the first time in my life, I felt like righteous Lot in Sodom and Gomorrah. I turned around and saw everybody there, and I turned to my wife and, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Are you crazy? This isn't a celebration, right? This is time to get up and get out of here,
right.
And pick up your gear and go. We're leaving the world for a better kingdom.
Yes.
We're coming to a place where God is going to grant us, his sons and daughters, joint heir with him and all the behavior that goes with it. Listen, don't forget to check out the BFF meeting on Friday night at 5:30 for food and fellowship and 6:15 for some of the best sharing you've ever experienced. And childcare is provided, meetings for both guys and gals. And I want to encourage you that if you're a guy and you got a gal going to this, you should be going too. It'll really help you go together. I'm Steve Savant, and remember, no one's outside the reach of God. No, not one.